I now call the special board meeting for Tuesday, May 31st, 2022 to order for the Colleton County School Board. So I want to welcome everyone and say good evening. It's good to see everyone that's here that's joined us for this meeting. It shouldn't be a long meeting as far as open session is concerned, because we only have a couple of things on our agenda. Our executive session may be a little bit long because of the discussions that we're going to have in that session. But nevertheless, thank you for coming and joining us. It's good to see your smiling faces, and we hope that you gain some more information about the operations of our wonderful school district here in Colleton County. But for now, I'm going to ask everyone to please stand and join us in their pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Most gracious Father, we thank you for another privilege and another opportunity to come before your presence during the course of this Colleton County School Board. We ask, dear God, for a special prayer, a special blessing upon not only our students, but our workers and certainly our parents and for the whole world, dear God, because there are mass shootings and all kinds of things are going on. But in the midst of all that, God is still God. And God is still doing a great work. Continue to bless us and allow our mindset to be and to do what is best for the children. We ask these blessings tonight. We believe it and we receive it. It is in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Reverend Jenkins. Board members, as you see, our agenda is very short. We're going to start with old business. And for our old business, we're going to begin with our general fund fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. Ms. Ramona Barrett. Good afternoon, Ms. Barrett. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good. You have some budget information for us that we're going to talk about?
Yes. Hopefully I won't be before you very long. Okay, I have a little small presentation, not very long.
Turn your mic on for us, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully I won't be before you very long. Just have a little small presentation before I present the second reading of the budget, possibly. Just want to go over, Chris already had a historical expenditure of our budget. Right now in our general fund budget, it's at $47,492,244 for this fiscal year. We have a fund balance history over there that we have. For the year, last year we was able to get a fund balance of $7,783,766.52. Okay, we have a requirement that the state tell us that we have to have 8.33% of general fund operating expenditures from the previous year. So that made us, our fund balance for this year requirement is $3,956,103.93. Non-requirement amount is $3,827,662.59. This is the amount that we can spend without having to go against the state requirement of the fund balance. But we have to also remember that when we do this, use some of the fund balance, it helps us offset getting a tan, because if you got money already in your fund balance, you may not have to borrow money. This helps save money in the end. Our salary per pay period costs us, with fringe and salaries, is $1.8 million of pay period. And if you calculate that in 2 pay periods, it's close to $4 million a month that we take care of just for salaries and fringe. That doesn't include all the other expenditures that we have to take care of during that month too. Our revenue collection for this year has been very good. As of April, as far as property taxes, we are ahead of $386,600.09. That's as of April. Vehicle taxes, we are under by $109,960.34 because we still have to collect for the month of May and June. Delinquent tax, we are behind a little bit of $78,390.19 because of the same thing. We have to collect from May and June, and we're behind a little bit on watercraft. But so far the year, we have collected almost as much as we did last year. We collected actually more than we did last year of June 30th, 2021. We have collected $138,060.78, which is more than we have collected last year for the whole month of June. And this is just up until the month of April. So we are ahead on tax collection. Okay, our millage rate. The state allowed districts, because of Act 388, to maximize the millage rate, and they gave us a limitation on a cap of how much we can actually go to the county and ask for some monies for that millage cap. And if you look at our millage cap, we have not gotten anything. The last time we've gotten the millage cap was year 20, which was 2019, and we didn't get the whole millage yet. We only got like 3 mills. So you went out from 113.42 to 116.42. And we have been, millage cap hasn't been, our millage hasn't increased since then, so we're still at 116.42. But if you look and see, if we were to go and get our millage, it would be like $1.2 million every year, a recurring fund that the school district could get if we go to the millage cap. I know this year there's a lot of school districts that had to increase the millage in order to make the fund, in order to do their budget this year. Greenville had to increase their millage. Beaufort County had to increase theirs. Charleston had to increase theirs. A lot of the districts had to increase their millage in order to balance their budget this year. This year, we hadn't had to increase our millage yet, but we have used ESSA fund in order to balance our budget. Even though they had ESSA fund too, they still had to increase their millage rate, but we were still able to not to increase our millage rate and still maintain our balanced budget so far. Any questions?
Ms. Barrett, the maximum that we can ask for, is that for 3 years?
Yes, it's a 3-year look back.
Look back.
And if you don't get it after the 4th year, you don't get that anymore. You know, it's gone.
So if not, so we have until next year.
Right.
To get the maximum of the 3.
Right.
Okay.
If we decide to go to the county and ask for that.
Also, you mentioned a 1.2 million, and I'm sorry, I was trying to follow that.
That was if you add what you could get each year to the what we'll get each year, because if we ask for 3 years, you can get the 3 years. If you add those 3 years up, that's what it's equal to.
Okay, so that's the millage cap increase in dollars, add all up that column?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Barrett, would that be a recurring every year?
That's recurring money we will get every year, recurring funds.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What if the county don't give it to us?
Well, I don't want to be like Hampton County, but Hampton County is in a lawsuit with the county right now because they're not getting their cap. But if they don't give it to us, there's nothing we really can do about it because they're the one who determine whether or not to give us the cap or not. We don't have autonomy. We don't have fiscal autonomy. The county has fiscal autonomy over us. So they tell us whether or not we get a cap or whether we don't get a cap. We have 27 school districts in the state of South Carolina now that has fiscal autonomy, and they can go and increase their own millage rate. We have about, I think, 17 that have a limited autonomy, meaning that they only can go up to the cap. And of course, the state gives us a report every year telling us how much millage cap we can get for that particular year. So we won't go over that cap.
So if let's say they don't give it to us when we ask for it, and 3 years up, that means we lose that?
Well, when you have a 3-year look back, and if you don't get it, every year you lose a year that you don't get that year back. So you still get 3 years, but you lose a year that you don't get. Like we're on 23 now. Let's say year 20, we won't get that anymore because we already lost that year. Then you go to 20 the next year, you won't get 21 back because you already lost that year. So you're losing a year every time you go forward a year.
So if we got it every year, then we be sort of up to date.
Every year we'll be up to date, and we'll have that revenue coming. That revenue stream will be coming into us every single year because it's part of our revenue tax collection base that we will have. It will increase our tax bases. I mean millage rate, which is 116.42. Let's say if you add on 4, then it add the 116 plus the 4 would be at 120. So you have that 120 for the rest of the for forever.
So how do that affect taxpayers?
Well, normally, like, it's very small, it's very minute. Property taxes, you know, are exempt when it comes on the school district. Homeowners don't pay taxes for school district. It normally would affect businesses, car taxes, various taxes like that. But a resident homeowner would not be affected at all because of Act 388.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One additional question, Ms. Barrett. The ideal time to go to County Council for a request for a mill increase would be, as I know they're going through their budget process right now. So an anticipation of next year, would that be, before we begin the budget process, or what is your recommendation?
I would recommend us going before, because I know normally, when I used to work for the county, we would start our budget process there early, like in January, and then you would have people coming in and requesting. So I would say we would need to go in as quick as February and start requesting our millage increase then.
Thank you.
I concur.
Then that way, if they give it to us, we already know how our budget is going to be looking, so we won't have to be trying to figure out where we're going to get extra revenue from, because they have already given it to us, and we would know by the time we have to publish our budget.
So my question is, these funds are set aside basically for the district, but they can deny us upon our request.
I won't say they're really set aside, but by law, we are eligible to get them.
So it's our eligibility?
Yes,
okay.
we are eligible to get them because the state tells us that we can go up to the cap and we can get those millage.
So basically, if we don't ask, we don't get. So we need to seek, so we might be able to find.
That is so true. If we don't ask, we're not going to get. Okay, if you look here, we have our membership report. This is our final membership report for fiscal year 2021. And as you see, we were at the total ADM, without the admin, we were 4,906.69. If you look at our 2021 ADM that we just had, we are 4,756.99. But if you look at our ADM for the previous year, we have more because we were pre-COVID. We were in pre-COVID. So what the state legislature is trying to do, they're trying to fund us right now based on our pre-COVID numbers. So that would help us a lot because as of COVID, our numbers been going down every year. But they want to call something they call stake in the ground, where we get our pre-COVID amount of funding that we had before COVID. So that's what they're trying to do now for us.
So that's the, pardon me, yes, 4,906 is the number we're working with, and
yes.
That's the 2021.
That's what they want to, that's what they're suggesting that, well, in the legislature to do that. The fund is based on that. Okay, and if you look here right now, this is the Senate version that the Senate gave us back in 5-6, and as you can look and see, all the funding that they had, like in that was in this EIA funding. EIA funding is our special revenue funding, and normally that was in Fund 300. So what they did is that they rolled all of that funding that we had and they put it into the general fund. And with the Senate version, each sale for the teachers was only going to get $2,000 per sale. So they were going to raise the teacher minimum salary to $38,000. And that's what it was required in the Senate version as of May 6th. $2,000 raise for the teachers. Okay?
Ms. Baird, is that for all teachers or is that the minimum so that?
That's all teachers. Every sale would be increased by $2,000. Every sale. Okay? And then if you look hot off the press, 526 at 353, they gave us the House 2 version. And with the House 2 version, they gave us back the $4,000. So for the House 2, they're saying to give us the $20,468,268.18 and to give us the $3,353,645.83. So this would allow us, this version would allow us to give our teacher the $4,000 raise per sale. And we thought that we were going to have some concrete numbers on last week, but the state came out and said that they found $1.3 billion of extra money, and because they found the $1.3 billion, they're not going to do any kind of final numbers to the districts or anything yet until they hash over what they're going to do with this extra funding. So hopefully by next week, they said June the 6th, they're going to start going back to Congress again, and they're going to start looking at the budget again, and they're going to hash out the numbers of what we're going to get. So we really don't know whether we're going to get the $2,000 on the Senate version or the $4,000 on the House version. So that's where we are as far as the budget process. Any questions? And that's what's been holding us up, with everything. But the budget that I have before you today is based on the House version, which is the last version that we get. And that's the one with the ESSA fund. And where we have an increase of property taxes of $330,597. We have an increase of new residential exemption of $499,415. And of course, we have the EFA funding of $2,468,268 and EFA funding of $3,353,647. And when we get all of this funding, we would have a total of $51,240,908, which would increase our fund for the fiscal year and our revenue of $3,748,664,000. And with this, and the money that we have gotten from ESSA, because of that's what we're using right now, the ESSA funding, until we can maybe go to the county and ask them to help us by increasing the millage. We're using the ESSA fund in order to balance our budget. Also, we were able to look through attrition. We had some vacancies and some positions through attrition that we had the principals sat down with us and sat down with Dr. Cade, and we were able to save approximately around $400,000 for that. And we're talking about French, there's 30.46% on that. We was able to save about $500 and something thousand with that. So, and we're still sitting down some more, looking at more savings through attrition and getting with the principals, because they are the ones who knows what they need in their schools more than what we know. We don't know what they need in their schools, they know what they need in their schools. So we're going to be sitting down with them some more and looking at that over the next couple of years in order for us to be at a balanced budget without ESSA fund in the next 2 years. So that is definitely our goal, is to have that to be done in the next 2 years. But as of today, we don't have that yet. I have before you a budget that is include ESSA, and I also have one with you that informational only, but it's without ESSA. And without ESSA, we are $2.9 million short of what we need to be. And as I stated before, if we get that reoccurring fund from the county, it'll put us at 1 point something million short, but we can also use some other stuff through attrition to help reduce this cost. And Dr. Cave and I are going to be working over the next 2 years in order to bring this down. So, because in 1920, when I look back, we were $845,000 short in that budget year, but because we had a continuing resolution, we never really brought it out because we went to the previous year budget. So we already was short almost $1 million in 1920. So every year we gave STEM increases, we give all these other increases, cost of living that we had gave, and because you have to take care of your employees, it was given, but we never got any other additional funding from where we should from our taxes or anything like that, but we gave the raises and the 3 steps to each teachers, but we didn't have the funds to really full it. But ESSA has given us the wonderful opportunity of giving our employees with, our steps and increases, but we're just going to work on the budget in the next 2 years to get it balanced where we need to be without the ESSA funds. Any questions? And if you see there's increases in salaries, also it's because we had to take funding and expenses that we had in the EIA fund, which is our 300 fund, because they're putting all of that and rolling it up now and putting it into the general fund. So we had to move all of those salaries and put them into the general fund, because that's where those salaries, those expenses will be now. So that's why it looks like it's a big amount of money, but a lot of those expenses are expenses that we had in the 300 funds that we would not be getting in that fund anymore, so we have to move all the expenses over for the salaries into the general fund. So the salaries increase with everything is $3,967,20 was the salary. I'm sorry, not that one. That's the ESSA one.
Where is the ESSA money, Ms. Barrett, with ESSA funding version? I'm having a hard time finding it.
Okay, with the ESSA fund version, when we got with ESSA, the funding is actually in FTEs for instructional. So what we did is we take certain FTEs and take it out of the general fund and we put it into the ESSA fund 218, and that's what that funding is.
Okay, so in the revenue line item, I don't have an ESSA fund. How much money is being used to budget?
Okay, and the revenue is indirect costs. We get money through indirect costs. Any federal program that we have, they allow us to do an indirect cost because we maintain the funds. We do a lot of operational part for the funds, so we get an indirect cost. And the state tells us every year how much money we can get for indirect costs. And this year, it's like 20.38% that we can get for indirect costs, unrestricted indirect costs. And then they have a restricted direct cost, which is like 5.38% that we can get on other funds that they tell us that we can have. But we just don't arbitrarily just get indirect costs. They tell us how much we can get for indirect costs and if we can get indirect costs at all.
So because of the change in funding streams and how we can indirect cost and direct cost and what that restriction is, then can we assume that with ESSA funding, that's a zero balance, there's a balanced budget. And then without ESSA, there is a deficit of 2.9 million. So 2.9 million of ESSA funds are used to balance this budget. Okay.
Any questions?
Were there any additional changes in the expenses since the first reading?
Basically, the only different changes that we had was, we can go down these changes. I think we did a changes in the high school. I think that was in their original. They needed a chorus, so we had to pay for them to have somebody to accomplish to come in and play with them. So we increased that for them. And then we had TCTC needed some more supplies, so we increased that for them for that supplies. We increased the legal service of $8,700 for additional legal services that we're getting. And the Office of Finance, our budget is increased by $9,000, and that's because last year, as of May, we had just went into the clouds right before we had the IT incident, and we didn't have, because that was something we did at the last minute. It wasn't budgeted, so we had to find money, but we needed to go ahead and do it, because had we not done it, all our employees' socials would have been out there, and we had that IT event, so we have to pay for that on a maintenance fee. So that's why we increased that. Okay, we have the Office of Administration Services for travel and supplies. That's safety, had more supplies, so we increased that by $3,000. We increased, of course, utilities and water and telephone, all of those recurring expenses like that were increased. And we had to, our retirement went up an extra 1%, and our insurance is going to be going up, so we increased the insurance, and then of course we just found out from last week that our workman comp insurance went up $91,234. Last year they gave us an increase, they gave us a discount, but this year they didn't give us that discount, so it went up $91,234. So other than that, that's basically all the increases. We just try to keep everything to the bare minimum that we have.
All right. Any other questions for Ms. Barrett about our general fund budget for the second reading? No other questions? I need a motion, ladies and gentlemen, to accept the second reading for our fiscal year 2022-2023 budget, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the second reading of the 22-23 fiscal school year budget.
Second.
All right, motion has been made by Mr. Murdoch to accept the second reading for our fiscal year 2022-2023 budget, and that motion has been seconded by Reverend Harry Jenkins. Do you have any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that I appreciate the explanation of those additional increases and expenses, as well as understanding better how we're using the ESSER funds to balance this year's budget. The use of those ESSER funds is still concerning to me. I feel that, you know, before when we talked about our salary study and how it would affect this year's budget, I still would have liked to have had some options. The salary study gave us some good recommendations, and implementing those all at the same time, I think, has given us a larger increase in expenses for this year because of the challenge that is balancing this year's budget, not knowing what the House and the Senate are going to agree to, and the amount of $2.9 million of ESSER funds. I'm not able to agree to this budget at this time. Also, I want to make note that I'm trying my best to understand the budget, and I've asked a lot of questions, but apparently the board understands things a lot better than I do.
Yeah, that's just my opinion on the budget. I think we do have options, and the reason why I say I think we do have options is because, like Ms. Barrett just told us, we have 1.3, 1.25, whatever million dollars just sitting on the table that this body has not requested from county council. Now that would ease the use of ESSER funds. Just to speak on myself and my history, since I've been a board member, I've never voted for a millage increase. However, this year is a unique year, and it's unique in the way where we had a wonderful salary study performed, and as a result of that salary study, everyone that is employed with this school district is going to receive a higher pay. Now, I think that's a good use of a millage increase, because not only will that help us balance our budget, and like Ms. Whitkin said, and I do share her concern to a certain degree about the use of ESSER funds, because if we did not use those funds or could mitigate the use of those funds, then those funds could be used to assist in the academic progress of our students. And I'm always in favor of that. So there are options. And this is the second reading of our budget. So it's things that we can think about as a body. If we want to solicit county council for funds to help us better pay our staff members, and that's what essentially it's going to be for, because if we didn't do that, then we would probably have a balanced budget almost, or very, very close to it. But there are options. I don't want the public to think that we don't have options. It's just a matter of whether we want to do like the umpteen number of other districts has done and request a millage increase. A lot of other districts have done it. Charleston County, Beaufort County, all of those other counties, a bunch of those other counties have done it. We haven't done it in a few years. So, any of the board members got any comments that they want to make about our options relative to passing this motion?
I think that option certainly is there, and we need to utilize it, take advantage of it. So the longer we hesitate, I think the more complicated it becomes. So I certainly feel that we need to utilize and exercise the use of that option.
Mr. Chairman, however, at this time, and it's my understanding this would not be something we could ask County Council for at this time, is that they're already creating their budget. And so that's a missed opportunity for this year, and would likely, I'm looking for confirmation, would be something we could begin at next year, right?
I don't know if it's too late. They haven't finalized their budget, but nevertheless, it's an option. So it's whatever this body want to do. But right now, the motion is to approve the second reading, and we want to. It's good discussion to know that we have options. I don't know how far along County Council is in their budget process, but now I do want to say this: it is a request. It is only a request, and of course. I don't even know what the makeup of County Council is now, but it's a request, and if we want to entertain that later on, we can do that. But now, any other discussion about this motion, so we can move forward with the agenda.
I just would like to add to what Reverend Jenkins had to say, and I mean, I feel like I could feel more secure in this year's budget knowing that we did receive a mill increase. However, I don't feel comfortable right now going to County Council at the 12th hour, which I feel June kind of is, to make that request. I think it needs to be something that we better prepare. And two, we're sitting in an election year, so doing that after elections may put us in a better position.
No better time than to do it before election.
With election year, I think it's time.
I mean, because and I don't want to take discussion from any other board member. Because think about it, we're essentially requesting that fund, or would be requesting those funds to better pay our staff, because that's what we're doing with the money. It's the greater proportion of our budget has to do with paying our staffs competitively. That is the greater portion of this budget. And we're going to do as a board, I'm glad I think we agree that that's something that's needed and needs to be done. But hey, right before November, ain't no matter.
No, I want to point out that is this year.
It is. But any other discussion before I call for the vote? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to accept the second reading of our fiscal year 2022-2023 budget, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? All right, we have one opposition, and that no vote is Ms. Whitkin, Ms. Shirley. All right, thank you, Ms. Barrett.
Thank you. The next on the agenda is the capital projects. I see you have before you 2 capital projects listing. One listing is one coming from the school where they ask the bells and the whistle listing. That's what they have. And on the second listing is the one where we as a team, the cabinet team and Dr. K, we got together and we look at the needs and not just the wants, and we looked at our pocketbooks of the district, what we could afford, and this is the list that we came up with on the second one. And this is just for you to review so that you can have any questions, any comment, and we'll make a motion on it on the next meeting.
So, Ms. Barrett, just to make sure that I'm clear, on this one, the one with that's marked in yellow are the ones that we're doing?
Well, but that one, those are the ones that,
What's the yellow?
The yellow is the one that was marked in yellow was the one that we were considered not doing, and that was the original amount for $3,727,000. That was the $3 million. Of course, we only got $1.6 million in our funds. That's all we have left for expenditure. So we had to go and cut some stuff, and the stuff in yellow was the one that we was going to think about cutting, and then maybe we could find some place to put it in there. So those are the ones that we was able to find and to put into the capital projects that we're going to utilize. But those are some things that we can put into some ESSA fund too for the schools. So that's why it's in yellow. And those are the ones that we didn't want to just not cut, but we want to also think of other ways that we could have it done and paid for, and we was able to come up with it. And you're going to see it on this second sheet with no yellow on it at all. That's the one that we was able to do.
Okay, so everything on this sheet is what we're doing.
What we're doing.
Everything that's on this sheet is what we're doing.
The one with no yellow is what we're doing.
Mr. Blakeney is here just in case you have any questions about the original request.
I have a question.
Yes,
Mr. Blakeney. The last board meeting, we had a presenter come with public input on the request for a new track and field, and is it on here?
Yes.
Okay, so I see helmets, volleyball nets, track and wrestling uniforms.
Go to,
I think it's there, it should be there.
Collin County High School, the first one. You talking about the
Collin County High School.
Okay, because I was looking at athletics.
It's on the, it's on the
Recode track?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. I'm sorry, I couldn't read it.
That's all right. I was looking in the wrong place, and I appreciate your direction.
All right, any other questions from Mr. Blakeney or Ms. Barrett about our revised capital projects for 2022-2023? I'm shocked that you're not going to ask about the parking lot for the middle school.
Oh, well, it's not in this year's capital projects, but if you had an update, I'd love to hear one.
Please provide the update that we received today. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, we had bid opening today, not one bidder. Not one bidder. So I'm meeting with the architect and engineer tomorrow. I'm going to do a conference call at 2 o'clock to try to figure out our next step. We've had it out there numerous times. I've even sent it to contractors personally, sent it to Sanders Brothers and some of those other contractors. And the only one that responded was the hired, that responded to the not bid.
And this is what, just to pave the parking?
Just to take up the asphalt in front of Collin County Middle School, lay down, compact the soils, and then lay down stone, and then 2 inches of asphalt behind it, the front parking lot. And then over at Thunderbolt Career Technology Center, is to loop around, the buses go around the back of the building to drop kids off, it's that loop. So we can combine those projects.
And I noticed that Blackstreet has recoding also in their project request. It just is concerning because we're so restricted in when it can be done, that, you know, the needs just keep growing.
I realize that, and I agree, because that parking lot is horrible.
And to put it in perspective, look at how much money the state received through the Build Back Better plan. And a lot of that money, I can't remember what percentage I heard about, is solely for infrastructure. So if you got a license to do infrastructure contracting, you're not worried about the I don't know what this project was estimated to cost.
A little over $1 million.
You're not worried about $1 million. You want to do the $1.3 billion expansion for 526 that they want to do in Charleston. You know, stuff you want to bid on stuff like that as a sub. So it's not, hope I used the right word, inconceivable to understand why we're finding a hard time to get contractors to do this work. In a regular year, it wouldn't be no problem. But I guess there are people out there, there are companies out there that's thinking that it's bigger fish to fry. You know, so that's the rationale behind that. I don't know how we're going to do it.
We're going to do this some more tomorrow. Like I said, come up with another thing.
I don't know what we're going to do,
Another potential plan would be just to fill the potholes that are in there right now.
We've been doing that for 10 years.
It needs a refresh.
Yes, it does.
I know you know that.
It does.
Yeah, but it's not just getting kicked down the road. That's what I think that's my point. It's not just being ignored or we're making valid efforts to find people to fix that, because we know that that's a situation that we need to address, but it's just hard to find contractors. Guys out there bidding on $3 million, $10 million work, you know, and they're getting it.
And the law does allow for us, after we've gone through all the bid process, if we cannot find someone, we can start making personal calls to the contractor.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, our procurement allows us to do that. So, all right. Any other questions about our capital project?
Thank you, Kenny, for the work. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
No other questions? All right. You don't need an action on this, do you, Ms. Barrett?
No.
Not tonight. All right. Thank you so much.
Great job.
All right, board members, we're moving right along in our agenda, and at this time we come to section 3 of our agenda, which is our executive session. Executive session section. So can I get a motion from a member for us to enter into executive session for the items that are listed on our agenda, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we enter into executive session for the discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee related to a superintendent evaluation. Also for the discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release related to employee employment separations. Also for the receipt of legal advice, where the legal advice relates to matters covered by the attorney-client privilege, and negotiations incidental to proposed contractual arrangements related to the old Johnsonville School property. Also for discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee related to an employee grievance request.
Thank you.
All right, motion has been made by Ms. Whitkin for us to enter into executive session for the items listed on our agenda. Items 3.01, 2, 3, and 4, and it's been seconded by Mr. Mabry. Do you have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. We're into executive session. Ladies and gentlemen, we may have some items that we're voting on when we come back out of executive session. But you're welcome to stay and join us. Wait for us to come out. I can't say about how long it's going to be, but it might be a little while. But nevertheless, thank you for being here. For us to enter back into open session, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we enter back into open session.
Second.
All right. Motion has been made by Ms. Whitkins to enter back into open session. It's been seconded by Mr. Murdoch. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. All right, we're back in open session. It's good to see everybody that stayed with us this afternoon. All right, board members, let's get a motion on the Jonesville property, please. No, we don't need a motion on that, do we?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We don't. All right. The Johnsville, I apologize to all the Johnsville people that's watching. All right.
Brother Chair.
Yes, for the
Brother Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we set the recommendation for professional staff employment for 2022-2023.
Second.
All right, a motion has been made by Reverend Jenkins to accept the recommendation for professional staff employment given to the board on May 31st, 2022. It's been seconded by Mr. Mabry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. All right, so unanimous to show. All right, can I get a motion for the grievance request, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the resolution of the grievance as proposed to the board by the superintendent.
Second.
A motion has been made to accept the resolution to the grievance that's proposed to the board by the superintendent, and it's been seconded by Mr. Murdock. Do you have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please signify by raising the right hand. Is unanimous. All right. As I have it, that's all the business that is set before this body. Any other business? None? All right.
The chair will make a motion that we adjourn.
We stand adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.